Thanks. Okay.
Oh, no, I turned mine off.
You don't need now.
So you said that about me ever since I.
Get your little name.
Don't need a microphone to hear it.
Try to do this all electronic.
This is still the same. This is still the same group.
Hey, Ron.
Hey, gentlemen, how you doing?
Okay.
Good. Good.
Surprised you're here.
Yeah. Me too.
All those contact information should be on the website too.
Well, I'm glad you're here. We wouldn't have a quorum.
Well, that's right. Did you hear anything from David?
Yes, he's on vacation. He's in Florida.
Well, I know Mac is. I don't know about Dave.
David too.
Okay.
Although I don't think they're vacationing together, but you know, just.
You never know.
Yeah, I don't think they do from the beach. Allergies are killing me today.
Well, the clock says 6 o'clock, so we are live, and I'll call this meeting to order. And before we start the agenda, I want to make a comment. I am greatly concerned and disturbed that the mayor and the city manager have called a very significant public meeting on the same night that planning and zoning is meeting. And they knew and know about the schedule for our meeting and chose to ignore it. So I'm glad that you're here, but there are many people that probably are attending another meeting. And it greatly disturbs me that they schedule a meeting like that in direct conflict and knowing that this meeting was scheduled months and months ago. So I just wanted to make that comment, and so for the record, I object to their having the meeting at the same time in conflict. So,
I agree, Mr. Chairman.
thank you. All right, adoption of the agenda. May I have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
Yeah, I moved, Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the agenda that's presented with the package.
Is there a second?
Second,
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Old business, you've received the minutes of our last meeting. Are there any changes or modifications to be made to the minutes as presented?
I move that we approve and accept the minutes as presented from the last meeting on May 17th.
Is there a second?
She seconded.
Been moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
I only have to look to the left tonight, so easy to do. Okay, new business, Ron?
All right. Tonight we have a series of different ordinance changes that we would like to move forward with. These have been, discussed in house, and we're always looking at ways to improve our zoning ordinance and improve our process, and make obviously regulations that make sense or correct regulations that don't make sense. So we've identified a couple of them in the ordinance. You're going to probably, as I said in prior meetings, you're probably going to get a couple more of these, probably a lot more of these through time, but we wanted to start off with a number of them tonight. The first one that we have on our agenda tonight is for building orientation. In your packets, you would have received Section 9.03. This only applies to multifamily and single-family attached types of developments, such as townhomes. But we are striking through a sentence, so we're not actually introducing new regulation to replace this. But we're looking to strike through multifamily buildings shall be oriented to the street or city road, a common open space or cluster to form neighborhoods. Multifamily buildings shall not be oriented to parking lots. So obviously, good urban planning is to for a multifamily building or any building really to have some form of orientation or relation to the street. But as we know in Villa Rica, and as we know, we've had a number of different apartment complexes and townhomes and things that the city has approved, and we've reviewed concept plans, and that particular item actually has not come up. I can't really recall any apartment or townhomes that we have approved in the past 3 years or so that could meet that regulation. It's relatively arbitrary in nature as well. How far away from the city street are they allowed to be? How far away are parking lots supposed to be, for example, from those buildings? And although we have regulations to address the latter, we don't have any regulation, of course, because every street is going to be different. Every street has different curves in it and things of that nature. No street is directly straight. Most buildings are directly straight. So there needs to be some sort of flexibility in our ordinance and having these types of, really not even much of regulation, rather than a thought more so than anything, and a regulation has to be clear. So we didn't think that this was a particularly clear section, so we opted not to replace that with regulation because we couldn't even come up with any regulation to that effect. So we're just looking to strike through that. Every project, of course, is different, and most of them, especially with our apartments and things of that nature, they're very far from the street in a lot of cases. A lot of the times they're going to be tucked away. I can think of a number of different projects that are like that. So we're just looking to have that taken out and also address townhome entries. So this is subsection 6. It's titled Entries, and we're looking to introduce regulation here, and it reads as such: the primary entryway for townhomes shall not be recessed. Entries shall not protrude from the dominant front facade wall more than 3 feet. And the second...
Ron, I don't see that. I see
No, it's on the,
I see the thing in 2C, but I don't see...
no, it's next page.
Yep, it should be a page or two afterwards. I believe it's 2 pages for you guys. I have a electronic.
What,
Yeah.
It's underlined. It's A and B of section
Underlined. Oh.
6 entries.
the whole
Right.
6A and B?
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So section B there, subsection B, says at a minimum, the entry should incorporate features totaling a minimum of 2 points from the list below, unless specified. All features are worth 1 point. So they would, this gives flexibility, like what I was talking about earlier. It gives flexibility to a developer, but it also heightens the architectural standards that the city wants. We want obviously better looking dwellings and dwellings that are going to enhance the natural environment, let alone the built environment. So I tried to come up with a little list here of various different things that a developer would have to choose from, but it would be a list of they would have to pick at least 2 of these things from the list. Before tonight, of course, or as it is right now, we currently do not have regulations that speak to this for townhomes and multifamily dwellings. So we're now introducing more architectural standards to the ordinance to better our ordinance and enhance it.
But none of this would be retroactive to the developments that have already been approved.
No, it would not be retroactive to
Okay,
them. This would
okay.
only be for future developments.
Okay. Okay.
I move that we accept and approve and recommend to City Council these modifications to the design standards for multifamily and single-family attached as presented by staff.
Is there a second? Any further discussion? Any other questions for Ron? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, next one.
All right, our next one here is section 9.042C. We wanted to remove some references to this corridor overlay zone, which we actually don't have in the city at all. So we just wanted to take that out to try to clean up the ordinance. It's referencing a regulation or a zone that we don't have. Just going down the list here. Subsection D, cross-access easements shall be required between adjacent compatible developments. There's a section we wanted to take out and replace, dealing with the curb cuts. We have 2, if not 3, different site distance requirements, or how far away the intersections have to be from the driveways, for these types of developments. For non-residential buildings, these are only for commercial in nature and industrial. We wanted to try to clean that up, take that out, and put some language referencing our Villa Rica development regulations, because that's the other booklet that actually has that and had it before this ordinance was even passed. So we wanted to just repeal that. There's no need to have 2 regulations out there, and we would much rather that come from the engineer's office than the planning and zoning office.
Okay,
And that next crossed out section goes with that as well.
well, and there's one ahead of that too. Item C.
Yes, that's that corridor overlay zone.
Yeah.
Any,
And I move that we accept and recommend to City Council for approval these changes in the code as presented and recommended by staff.
Second.
moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Any questions for Ron? All in favor?
Aye.
Sure. Unanimous? Okay. Ron?
All right. Table 7.6 is our next ordinance change.
I'm sorry, which one?
7 seconds.
7.6. The top of the page starts with section 7.03 entrance/drive standards.
Okay.
Do you have that?
Hang on. Oh, yeah, I got it. Okay, I see my notes.
All right. So down, all the way down at the end of that, there's a chart that's struck through in red, as well as some wordage just above it there. This goes with the last section where we want to take out that cross-access easements of the distances between driveways and intersections. So this is the 3rd regulation that we had for this. So we want to try to take these out of the zoning ordinance altogether and continue to reference the Villa Rica development ordinance.
So you're removing this table
Yes, sir.
in total?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I move that we accept these proposed changes as presented by staff.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Again, Ron, none of this is retroactive, right?
No, sir,
Right.
unfortunately.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Okay, Ron?
Okay. Let's see. Hold on here.
Item D?
Yes, so item D, section 9.29E of the Villa Rica zoning Villa Rica sign ordinance. So we're now changing from the zoning ordinance to the sign ordinance here with a change. But we wanted to clarify the wall sign regulation and again, better our ordinance. Subsection 1E has a scale that we use for wall signs, where for every linear foot of a wall sign, you get 2 square feet. That's relatively typical and what most towns are gravitating towards. So this is very much a good regulation. However, it's tying that 1 foot to square feet to the tenant's frontage instead of the facade, which we believe was really just an error in the writing of the ordinance. So obviously that can produce a massively larger sign if you're talking about the entire frontage of the property versus the facade of the property. So that's definitely a fix that we strongly recommend that we do as we receive more and more applications. And we just recently actually received one from a existing big box store, for example, where if we were to go with the tenant's frontage, they have a massive frontage. But if we were to go with the facade of it, which is also even a big sign, that was even larger than our maximum square foot, which is 300 square feet. So, you know, the sign ordinance, the regulation, like I said, is good, but we need to dial it back from the frontage to facade. And if they need variances from there, they can go to the city council for those.
Okay.
Have you heard any possible variances from?
I strongly believe they probably will be, as of an email of this afternoon.
None current, though.
Not currently,
Okay,
no.
okay. Okay. Any comments for Ron on this recommendation?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept and recommend for approval these changes to section 9.29 as submitted by staff.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Ron?
All right. So our last ordinance change that I have prepared for you tonight is to add language to allow for banners to be on adjacent contiguous sites that are under common ownership. And where this came about was actually from a church in town, a house of worship, wanted to do an Easter, some sort of an Easter event, related event, and unfortunately, with the way that the current ordinance is written, it does not allow for banner signs or temporary signs to be located on lots that are not a part of the actual activity of what is actually supposed to happen, whatever the event is or what have you, or you know, if it's not located actually on the lot of where the premises is, where it would be taking place, then we couldn't actually approve that. So it has to be, so if we have a vacant lot, for example, that's next to a house of worship, and they own the lot, the house of worship, we're trying to allow them to have to be able to place a banner on that lot, being that it is directly adjacent to them, and they do own the lot. But if it was if it was owned by someone else, they would not be able to do that still.
Ron, the section, item 6 parent, and subsection B, that's about this issue, the banner being located on adjacent contiguous parcels. This is just housekeeping stuff, but we get the stuff outlined and highlighted in red when we're deleting it, and sometimes just underlining something for emphasis. I have to read it a couple of times to get it to register to me. Oh, that's what they mean. They're actually taken out. Can we, if we're adding, can we add that language in green or maybe blue? I want to say green because I think green means go and red means stop. So.
Sure. I don't want it to. I think the main reason why we do it this way is because this is the most common way that it's done in most municipalities, and
I'm not in most of them, so.
And also because this is the way the city council accepts it, so this is the way that we usually prepare it. But I have no problems with changing it to a different color. I just don't want it to look like we're trying to also influence or tell you guys the way to do it.
I think something better to make it stand out. Renee, you won't have any problem doing that, right?
I think it would be me.
Are you the one that does this?
Yeah.
Oh, well, no wonder we're gonna, but anyway, can we do that to green?
Absolutely,
For-
absolutely.
Green means it's coming in, and red means it's going out.
Sure.
And I move, Mr. Chairman, that we approve this change as recommended to section 9.40 by staff for submission to the city council for their approval.
Okay, is there a second?
Few seconds.
Okay. Any further discussion? Any other questions for Ron? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Ron, the agenda that we previously had rezoning for a couple of lots down Highway 61.
Yes.
Why was that deleted?
Yes, so the applicant, he submitted an application to us that, and as we saw from the site plan, there was a number of different lots in there. He presented only to us 4 of those lots, but however, there were 6 total lots that was inside of the site plan, or at least the drawing of the site plan. One of those lots was, according to the applicant, once we did question them on these additional lots, he said that that was erroneously included. So he had a separate site plan that carved that section out. Then we asked him about the second lot, which is Hendricks Road, which is apparently a private lot, and it has a parcel number and the whole bit. So that parcel goes with inside and outside of the city limits. It is private, and everyone that's on that road or that touches that parcel was entitled to notice, because of course it goes through the development area. There apparently, according to the applicant, as recently as yesterday afternoon, that this was an error on behalf of Carroll County's GIS, and that the road, the portion that's within their development, actually belongs to them. So I've now pressed them for proof of that, in addition to a property survey, in order to verify that, and they would have to, of course, renotice everyone that bounds either the project as it came into us with just those 4 lots, or it will be that additional 5th lot with Hendricks Road once that's clarified.
Do you anticipate that coming up, say, in
I do.
July? Or?
Yes, I strongly do believe so. So I felt that it was uncomfortable. I felt very uncomfortable with moving the project forward or moving that onto our agenda, unless everyone is properly noticed.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that
Sure.
update. Any other staff comments?
Just that we have 2 more ordinance changes that we're looking at making at the next meeting also. One of them is for the width of townhomes again. We just had this one before last month, so we are now once again proposing to change them. There was some dialogue that happened at the last city council meeting with one of our townhouse developments, where the developer made some comments in relation to our recent change and how they were very much against it because we went from 24 feet to 26 feet. They're saying that we can, and once we went back and we did verify this, what we need for the garages minimum of 16 feet plus a foot on each side of the garage. You have a 4-foot door with a foot on each side. That doesn't add up to 26 feet. That could be accomplished in 22 feet at minimum. So. We want to still, we don't want to roll back to 22. We want to just roll back to what we had instead. I think that everything that we are trying to do, in addition to some of these improvements that we heard tonight in relation to townhomes, we're just trying to kind of give some of the flexibility to the developer for these types of products, but still kind of demand an architectural style and some sort of a project that the community would actually like and have pride and ownership with. So I think that rolling it back to the 24 is probably our best bet at this point. A 26-foot product, the developer also said the 26-foot product, no one builds a 26-foot at this point, not nowhere in this market. I couldn't really find any. I looked everywhere. I looked at other regulations in other areas as well, and especially in areas that are heavy in townhomes. Vinings and Cobb County, Smyrna is very heavy in townhomes, as we know. They've heightened their standards over 20-something years ago, and we're trying to kind of do the same thing here. So they have much smaller minimums than we do, actually. They have minimums of 20s. So going with a 24 is going to get a different product altogether anyway, probably a better product than that. So
It's a little bit early, but have you seen or felt any reaction, excuse me, to the federal rate change as far as development?
Well, Tracy might know more than I would, but I know that I've seen some kind of things kind of slow down a little bit. We're getting, as you guys have even seen, we've gotten a lot less applications recently than we usually were. We're getting in 2021. We got a lot more rezonings. Now we're getting a lot of variances for those projects to the city council, but not a lot of rezonings at this point. So that's kind of telling me something.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
There's,
Tracy?
you can tell
What you come for?
there's a little bit of a slowdown in, or a hesitancy, I guess, more than anything, to see where this is going. And I think it's multiple things hitting at one time, with not being able to get your material and products, and the hikes in the interest rate, inflation. So yeah, I don't know where it's going. I think your big developers will proceed on, and the self-funded ones, but a lot of their smaller guys are tapping the brakes right now, just to kind of see where things are.
Yeah, a little concerned because we've got something like 5,500 residential units in the works
Yes, sir.
between now and 2025. And I'm just wondering if there's any indication that those may be cutting back or curtailed or whatever.
Yes, I think a little bit, but it's hard to gauge this because we have some developments, they're logging right now, but they're not in a hurry to log because they cannot get sewer
Yeah.
pipes, right? They cannot get concrete piping to put in their infrastructure. So you don't know if it's they're scared of the economy, the inflation, the interest rates, or it's just a lack of product. But it's going to be a lot slower process than we've seen in the boom here in the early 2000s. It's going to take a while to get these going.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
I think that it's a lot to do with where are they, what stage are they, stage of development are they in? If they've already got a lot of money, in the ground, and they've got materials done, and they're out of the ground or something like that, then you're going to see those go on to completion. But even the bankers are getting a little hesitant right now about don't push, to get this thing started. Let's see where we are right here, and let's see what interest rates really do. And because they've already gone up farther and faster than I had thought that they would, so there's a chance that we could have a slowdown due to economic factors.
Well, I think it's not done yet, so.
I think another thing that you got to watch for is your big developers. When everything crashed in 08, 09, then they come swooping in probably around 11, 12, 13 and started buying up the lots from the banks at like $1,000 a lot, and they made mega billions of dollars. And I think people like Horton and them are looking, right? Like, do we want to? So they're slowing down a little bit on the land acquisition, developing, because they know they're self-funded, that we may get a lot more cheaper lots in the, in the near future if things do. So there's a lot, I mean, it's just unpredictable.
Oh, yeah, very much so.
I'm scared to even estimate a job now. You just don't know. You just can't figure
That's
it
the
out.
most accurate statement.
Yeah.
It's, things are unpredictable.
Oh, yes, sir.
Very much so. Any other comments, Ron?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, open the meeting to public comments. For the first time in a long time, we've had a sign-in sheet. And I have 3 names on here, and if you will come forth, the first name I have is Brenda. Kind of hard to read the writing, but, okay. Come forward to the microphone and give us your name and address and
My
what's
name is-
concerning.
Right, well, my name is Brenda Myberg, and I live on 58 Legend Drive here in Villa Rica, and I was most interested in what was planned to be discussed today about some development that abuts my property, and not understanding exactly what the intent was for the development. And I understand that, as was discussed today, that they're going to clean up their act a bit and let us know coming up. I'm hoping maybe we will see that as early as June 19th, I think is the next meeting, or July, excuse me. So my concern is that I have a nice house on Legend and worked very hard, downsized to that property, and I really like it, and I want to preserve the quality of life that I have there. And I think that I want to make sure that Villa Rica continues to grow in a positive way, and doesn't just develop nilly-willy, and that it keeps good standards. So that's my plan, just to be here, okay?
Very good. Well, we'll expect you back next month then.
Sounds good. No.
Very good. Well, thank you very much, Brenda. The next is Richard Mayberg.
Hey, that's me. I live with her.
That's why the
Almost-
address is the
Almost
same.
51
Very
years
good.
now. That's pretty good. We're, as are the other 14 houses in Legend Park, very interested in what's going to be doing with that development. And once that is brought forth, I'm sure that most of the neighbors will be here because we're just interested in the density, lot size, whether it's going to be sewer or septic. There are ponds. There's a couple of retaining ponds on that property that feed some creeks that go through our neighborhood. And I'm sure the Army Corps is very careful about what you do with any water on any property. We also would like to make sure that housing prices remain so that we don't lose property value because of a development. And the schools will be greatly impacted. If there's, as they indicate, 318 homes, I don't think the schools close by can handle a great number of new students. One of our neighbors is a administrator in one of the schools and said that's going to mean some new schools being built or overcrowding the existing schools. So we'll be back here on, hopefully it's July 19th, what it said on the website.
Right.
And we will be here in force just to learn more about what's planned for that particular area.
Right, very good.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much, appreciate it. And the last on the sign-up sheet is Lisa Hewitt.
Yes, my name's Lisa Hewitt. I live at 239 Hendricks Road. We have and our property is adjacent to what she's discussing about the new development on 61 and Hendricks Road in Whitworth. Our property probably has the most length on it adjacent to that property, and we've had a home there for, my husband's lived there 65 years, and we've been married 40, so I've lived there 40. And we just don't want the impactment of huge multi-homes packed up against us and ruin or kind of change our quality of life that we've had for all these years. And if they do decide to do that, this is just because it really doesn't mean nothing tonight, but if they did decide to do that, I would like a 150-foot buffer and a privacy fence. And I don't want to be in city limits. And you were talking about the other piece of property on Hendricks Road. Is it where, because we own up into front of the school, and it kind of comes out of triangle,
Yeah.
and it's that part right there at Hendricks and Whitworth?
It's Hendricks itself.
It's Hendricks itself.
The roadway apparently is private, or was private or something, but it does have a parcel ID number that's
Okay.
been assigned to it.
Okay, it's like a little triangle there on the old pavement, or is it it's not on the school property?
Yeah, I'll have to get.
Because ours kind of comes out of the triangle right there in front of the school driveway. And then there's that other piece where the road was cut off, where there used to be an old road. And when they had built the school, they rerouted the road.
Yes.
And they included that into that property that is for sale.
The way the tax assessor has it now, it's Hendricks Road as you know it today. They're following the old alignment,
Okay.
but it's all, it goes right
Yeah,
through their lot.
it's all together, yeah. But
Yeah,
the
it kinda
road
goes-
is still there, and it's like, the
And
county still owns the road.
Yeah, but they own the triangle on the other side of the road.
You're right.
So
Which
I
is
said,
just like,
yeah, so that means they really do have
it's
to.
like these neat little ochre things for the facade on that property and stuff that you're talking about on that apartments and stuff. The details. Who reads the details? So anyway, so that's what I was here for,
Okay.
to hope that we could come to some kind of, not 318 homes on 96 acres with a lake, infrastructure, plumbing, red light, dangerous road. 61's a dangerous road. 2 people got airlifted Saturday up there at Flat Rock in the red light.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
So Lisa, you need to start with Ron back there that you were talking to, and tell him all of the things that you're concerned about, and make sure he's up to date on all y'all's concerns and what you need and what you want. Who's your city council person?
Leslie,
McPherson?
I guess.
Who?
I don't know.
Maybe Leslie.
I don't think they're in the city limits.
We are not in the city limits.
Oh, well, okay.
So we're in the county.
Well, then
So
Ron, if they're not in the city limits,
he can't help us.
why are we getting this
It's
for consideration?
so,
Because our property's adjacent to the city limits property.
yes.
Okay.
They're still entitled to notice, so, to the public hearing.
I got, so, cause they're
Because it is
adjacent.
city limits,
And the proposed project is in the city limits.
yes.
Okay, who's city council for that?
That would be Matt Montahan.
Who? Momdahan?
Yes, sir.
And then, so Matthew Momdahan is somebody you should be talking with also then.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
okay.
Well, we'll see it next meeting before Matt sees it, but as Tom says, wouldn't be a bad idea for you to contact Matthew and,
I don't want to be eased into the city limits, no offense. But that can get expensive. So.
well, there are a lot of
And I
issues.
argued that before when they was doing something. I just went and talked to them when they had the meeting, the other place, years ago, that I didn't want to be in the city limits when they rezoned it to city limits. Because, and we're way out there, it's 3 miles or more. And because they have the elementary school there, it's annexed in to the city limits on that property that's adjacent. And
That's-
I just don't want to end up in city limits.
That's Bay Springs, right?
It's Ithaca.
Oh, okay,
It's
okay,
Ithaca. At Ithaca. Hendricks and Whitworth,
okay.
61 and all that other stuff.
Well, we expect to see you back in July,
I'll
and,
be back if our health holds out.
well, those are the 3 names that signed in. Is there anybody else that would like to speak? If not, I'll close public comments at this time and resort back. Ron, do you have any other things to add?
Nope, that was it.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second motion.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Can't discuss that.
Okay. Well, somebody might have had a different
No,
change of
motion to
attitude.
adjourn takes precedence under Robert's rules.
Yeah, I think so too. This one's
What?
actually much faster.
Pattern of every other meeting's gonna be a long meeting.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Well, not if we can help it.